right. You'll wipe the tears from every eye when your kingdom comes. Dark will make way for the dawn. All our sorrows will be gone when your kingdom comes. Night will turn to day and your church will sing. Take your bride away. When your kingdom comes, you will make a way through our darkest day. Shadows fly away when your kingdom comes. Every trouble we have known, we will lay before your throne. When your kingdom comes, we will bring you all our grief, and every tear will be redeemed. When your kingdom comes, night will turn to day and your church will sing. Take your bride away. When your kingdom comes, you will make a way through our darkest day. Shadows fly away when your kingdom comes. Turn today and your church will sing. Take your bride away. When your kingdom comes, you will make a way through our darkest day. Shadows fly away when your kingdom comes.
My name is Bernardo Barrios, and I've been working for Lawndale Christian Health Center for almost 11 years now as a visual artist and graphic designer.
My name is Kelsey Sible, and I've been working for Lawndale Christian Health Center for a little over 6 years now. And I've had the honor of working alongside Bernardo. Our work has overlapped, and we've gotten to collaborate for many years now.
It's been developing into a visual narration of our communities, healing spaces, its people, streets, buildings, represented as they are, but also with a hint of a prophetic intent. And during that period, the clinic was expanding and adding some buildings, and it was also in a rebranding process. Back then, a big part of the design work was mainly outsourced to other places, but somehow there was a gap. There was kind of like a discrepancy between a very rich and beautiful mission and the way it was being portrayed visually and as a brand. So I felt inclined to choose with photography that was more vernacular, more not staged, because it seemed to be more honest with ordinary spaces, with fractures, scars, with struggle, but also contradictions, sometimes even some magic. And other than outsourcing our brand, this was more bred from the inside and turned out to be more authentic. The first 5 years, or maybe 7 years of working there, it was a special time for me and my family because we were living by the clinic. And this was very meaningful as an artist because it brought a deeper understanding of the place, the light, the textures, the tension, even the smells, the people. And sometimes you just realize that beauty just finds you in the most ordinary and even dark places. You struggle in loving community. You find moments that otherwise you would miss, and you're a part of these stories. So photography and art started intentionally, not only supporting, but started forming as well the brand of the clinic in a sense. And our materials and spaces started narrating the soul of the ministry and the community in a deeper way. So as this has evolved throughout the years, it has been a true joy to see how art ministers to people I love, people you know personally. For instance, here my friend John, he struggled with addiction for decades, and once he was losing hope, but saw his portrait that was put in a gallery, and he was deeply touched by it. So he felt loved, and he gained hope once more for another season. Just one example. And just being present. While being present in the space, you find things such as a blooming garden, kids playing on the street, Andrew's team figuring out network installation, and a child in a waiting area looking at her mother, and a mother in a waiting area looking at her son. A sunrise while going grudgingly to a Bible study at 6 a.m. A view from the office, a view from the rooftop. Photography became an increasingly larger part of the design process and thinking in general. And we started integrating these images, not only in the spaces, but also in our materials, annual reports, postcards, marketing material in general, trying to hold on to our mission standard, being credible and authentic as much as we can, adding substance to statistics and data. And we realized the importance of good design and having a design team, of making spreadsheets attractive. One provider once wrote, "Please let your team know that these investments of Bill's time and expertise to bring such visual clarity to these documents will positively impact our ability to better help our patients in great crisis for years to come." It has been such an honor to do this, because this used to be like a spreadsheet, a diagram, and we just redesigned it for them. And eventually we started exploring other media in our spaces, such as vinyl and murals, redesigning waiting areas, and created murals like, for example, this Last Supper. It's a Last Supper analogy for a senior center that was printed on acoustic panels. So in general, we try to seek brand integrity in small and big spaces, nourishing the vision that spaces are sacred. And we believe that includes buildings, but graphics as well. So we do not want to create this dichotomy between our medical care and our mission and the way our consult rooms, brochures, and printed art looks. Because we believe that good design builds trust and also dignifies. Another important element for us is maintaining a historical perspective and memorials. So LCHC has an amazing story, and how can we honor it so we do not forget what God has done? We need reminders of where we came from, where God found us, ruins and hope, faith work, patience, miracles, community involvement, resilience. We want to register that, to put it on the walls in publication, timelines, quotes, portraits of people who are probably not here anymore. So why art matters, and I think this image explains it well. Because I found this boy just playing at the cafe, at the cafeteria, and something was off. He just couldn't focus. He was just running and he just couldn't focus. But I don't know, maybe he had some kind of autism. I don't know, some kind of problem. But here for an instant, the camera captured it. He's there. He's present. Like, and it's like an instant full of hope. It's an echo of eternity. Makoto Fujimura wrote, "Art as part of faith can be the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Art can capture those feelings that slip away from words, embodying thoughts, enlarging our powers of inquiry, provoking conversations, revealing to us what we value and hate, what we fear and hope, and what we will remember." Faith, in general, does not get very far without wonder, and using art both communicates and awakens wonder. Art is a way both for patients and staff to process in deeper ways our hopes, our sorrows, our lamenting. All of us in this community share a burden, experience grief, brokenness daily, and often we are on the edge of burnout, cynicism, but on the other side of honest and truthful worship. And we need the space to surrender ourselves. My main goal with this presentation is just to extend an invitation to everyone here to pray in your own context, thy kingdom come, for beauty and restoration, and for heaven to be revealed in your communities, and not adapted to human conceits, because we believe that Jesus already brought the kingdom of heaven among us. Psalm 23, the Message version says, "Your beauty and love chase after me every day of my life. I'm back home in the house of God for the rest of my life." And I'll just close with this quote that I put on the video from our former CEO, Bruce Miller, that said, "We must remember that the ground and the people are sacred. God has made them so. Our work is to remember that God has called our community to holiness, to beauty, to creativity, to wholeness, to health, to reflect what God sees. He sees the possibilities, and so must we. That is our mission. It is our high calling."
For the last 60 years, Miss Orly Downing has called North Lawndale home. Her family, her church, her community, all of it is established here on the west side. The victories and losses in her own life are woven into her surroundings. As her 88th birthday approaches, she's thankful for all the beauty she sees around her and the ways that she remains connected to the people and the places that bring her joy. Ms. Downing joined Lawndale Christian Health Center's Senior Day program in 2018. Her connection to the health center, however, goes all the way back to its beginning in the 1980s. My husband and I were friends of Wayne and Ann Gordon, who moved to Lawndale and started Lawndale Community Church, she says. Our kids grew up together, and to this day, Coach is the only one who calls me Oralee. When the church began to talk about the health center, my husband and I were all for it. Coach and Ann asked us for our advice, and we got to see all this happen. Ms. Downing beamed with pride as she talked about how far she's seen the neighborhood come. What we have here now is truly beautiful. That's an excerpt from a story in our 2021 annual report that featured one of our Senior Day program members. So storytelling is at the heart of all that we do, all of us here in this room. It isn't just reserved for a communications team like ours that publishes newsletters and annual reports to tell the story of our health center each year, but each of us carries stories with us every single day. They make up who we are, and they make up the DNA of each of our organizations. The poet Muriel Rukeyser once said, "The universe is made of stories, not of atoms." Just like a photograph, a story is also a snapshot in time. When you share part of your experience with someone, you choose the timeline of when that story begins and ends. And these snippets of our lives that we share with others allow us to foster connection as we invite the listener into our perspective. Stories are how we represent ourselves to the world. So when I think about things like branding and marketing, as I do in my job, I think of it as how are we telling our collective story? And that encompasses everything from graphic design to more traditional forms of storytelling like newsletters. Inviting people into a space where they see themselves and their neighborhood in beautiful photographs on the walls instills a sense of dignity that each person already possesses. They can be reminded of their value and shown that this place belongs to them. It's for them. They're not just welcome in our clinic, they play a key role in making it what it is. And written stories can have the same impact. We care about stories as an organization because we know that we're here doing this work because of the personal impact on individual lives and on whole communities. It's the experience of our patients that informs our decisions, it shapes our care, and it motivates us to keep going. And when we're entrusted with someone's story, we need to treat it with the utmost care. How we represent someone who has given us a line of sight into their life matters deeply. In this work, as you all know, we're always going to experience a lot of tension when we're considering how and what to share, how we display ourselves. There's a duality that exists, right? On one hand, we want to keep it real. We want to be honest about what it's like to live in our communities, about the experience of our patients. And on the other hand, we want to highlight the beauty that exists right now and inspire a changed narrative surrounding our patients, surrounding the communities that we serve. We never want to erase the experiences of the people that we serve and love and live alongside in our pursuit of creating something beautiful. So, if you or someone else in your organization is tasked with sharing stories from your patients in writing, we need to approach that duality with the utmost humility. It helps to continually put yourself on the other side of the story. Would I feel honored by the way I'm being represented here? Would I feel accurately portrayed? Would I feel proud to have this story published for others to read? And the language that we choose when working in writing is crucial. We have to do our best to stay away from othering language, right? So talking about your patients or your community as they versus us, as if they're separate from us as a health center. It should be we, it should be our community, whether or not you live there. And we should write from the perspective of the health center as a member of the community itself. We also have to continue to work to stay away from the language of saviorism. This can be tricky when we're talking about maybe something that our health center offers that could have changed someone's life. So we have to focus on representing our services, our programs from their perspective, using their quotes, their words, rather than ours. And we have to be sure to recognize the many factors in someone's life that may have resulted in success or change or them overcoming some kind of obstacle. Make sure we're empowering and lifting up the person, recognizing that they're the one who made the choice and the decision that resulted in a better life. We may have made something accessible, but they chose to receive that care or continue that treatment or take their medication or whatever it might be. And we can remember that the world of medical care can be confusing, it can be alienating at times, it can be really frustrating, especially for someone who has not always had unimpeded access to preventive care. So one way we can do this is to make sure that in telling someone's story, whether in a photo, whether in words, that we're giving them the power and the agency to be that focal point and to receive the depth of love that God has for them. So for the rest of our time together, we're going to give you all a chance to think about this in your own context. We want to think about the images, the snapshots, the stories that represent you and your work, your organization. And we hope you'll leave today with something that sticks with you and motivates you to keep bringing beauty in the spaces that you serve. So before we start that, we're going to do kind of like a group activity. I'm just going to show you really quick something that we've done as a team. Gabi here has been a part of before. So each year when we prepare our annual report, we start with a brainstorming session. So our visual concepts that you see in the end often start with something as simple as a word. So here's just a Google Jam board that we put together. I think this was from 2021. And the way we started this was just thinking about the last year at Lawndale Christian Health Center, what words came to mind for each person. So everyone took time on their own, just wrote down everything that came to mind, and these are some of the words that came up. And then our next step, as we shared all together, was that we started to see the connections between the concepts that we'd already come up with, and they ended up sort of getting sorted into these broader themes, these broader categories. We saw this journey represented, and that really informed the whole theme of that year's annual report. And after that, it becomes a lot more practical, and then the next step is to pursue the actual stories that we're going to tell. So this is more brainstorming about like which programs are we going to talk to, who are we going to interview, what have we been hearing around, before we get to the actual stories that we end up writing.